Two people can look at exactly the same thing and see with their heart something different. So take the cross of Jesus Christ. Without the eyes of faith, someone could look at that and say, that is a terrible image. A man brutally beaten and dying on a cross. But with the eyes of faith, we see something totally different. We see a God who has completely poured himself out to the point of death because he loves. It is the greatest symbol of love that we have in the world. And from that, these abundant graces of living waters flow from his beautiful and precious sacred heart. With the eyes of faith, things look different, and we notice things that perhaps we wouldn't have noticed before. During hard times, during difficult times, during a time of the cross, which is certainly this is where we are, we hope to see something that I didn't see before. And this is very important to remember, brothers and sisters, that God is very active and he is very close to us. And he can open our eyes and our hearts and our faith to see things that we never saw before. There's been a theme in the last 2 days of thirsting for God, of thirsting for God. And Father Bill gave a beautiful homily yesterday, which you can watch, about the thirst that God has for us. And today the psalmist says, a thirst is my soul for the living God. A thirst is my soul for the living God. And so what we can do is gauge where my thirst is for God. God is always thirsting for us, always. But where is and how do I gauge that? Thirst is a very important thing physically, obviously. It's an important thing that God put in us, so we know to drink water. I have to be honest, I know you're supposed to drink 64 ounces or whatever it is of water every day. I don't really think about that much until I get thirsty. And when I get thirsty, I go to drink. If I never had thirst, physically I would be in trouble. Spiritually, a thirst, we can talk many things about thirsting, but it is this longing for God. It is this longing for God. And when we get thirsty, we can notice things that we never noticed before. Someone told me just this morning that if you're watching from a different diocese, you may know in the Archdiocese of Washington, there's no public masses. And she came to me and she said, I never really knew what I had. I never really knew the blessings and the gift in the Eucharist. And so God did something in her soul, made her thirst for him in a new way. And so God takes what is a terrible situation and a really difficult situation, and he begins to pour things in the soul that were perhaps not there before. So for us to reflect on today, how much do I thirst for God? When we announced that there would be no more public masses until further notice, somebody in the church started weeping. That soul has a thirst for God and a thirst for the Eucharist. And if my heart is not really thirsting for God, beg the good Lord to give you that grace in your heart. It is a very important spiritual affect that we have a longing and a thirsting and a desire for God. Beg him to give you that great grace, and you will find yourself moving in the direction of grace that God desires to give each and every one of us. Amen.